And welcome back for the next, coincidentally, the next step in the hunt for the Dobrev. Because I seriously screwed up and accidentally deleted the source files for, I believe, 4 flashpoints that I had moved past. I have no idea how I deleted them. They are simply not on my computer anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, your crew has found another lead in the hunt for the Dobrev. However, in this, we are getting into something else besides just the lore and history, which I will also get into because it'll kind of touch on something. But another issue I have with this is what they're talking about here, and I'll see if I remember right. There's an actual image of it that I have major issues with within the lore of this game, and all the technological setup they do. Okay, no, they don't show it in this one. It must be something else I was thinking of. Before we get into anything else in this mission, I need to point out to people setting up games, setting things in here. If you're looking for stuff, you want to stay with the lore and the established science of the BattleTech universe and all that stuff. HBS, if anybody happens to see this, jump ships cannot land on planets. That is the whole reason drop ships and shuttles exist. Jump ships cannot even travel in system under their own power in most cases unless they are warships, which are made to do that. The jump ships of the 31st century in the Battletech setting, all they do is jump around from system to system, and depending on the age and condition and strength of the star, spend up to a week gathering enough energy from solar sails to recharge their drive and jump again. They do not jump in, burn into a system, and land on a planet's surface. Think about it. If they did, would we have any need for dropships? None at all. And it is even not even like an intuition or intuiting because one exists, the other doesn't exist. It is stated in the technology of the setting of all the lore of the source books and everything else that jump ships do not land on planets. There is absolutely no in universe justification for the entire setup of this, even just going by the technology. There is absolutely no way that your Lance of Battlemechs would be assaulting a spaceport with a docked, landed, clamped down jump ship. And even if there was, do you have any idea how big that spaceport would be? Jump ships are kilometers long. They have to be able to accommodate the full size drop ships that some units use, like the Overlord or the Behemoth or any of these other absolutely massive drop ships, some of which can hold an entire battle mech regiment within one drop ship. And drop ships can hold 2, 4, 6, or 8 of them, depending on the size. Those drop ships alone are too big for any of the spaceports that we see in this game, let alone a jump ship that would be docking up to a half dozen of them on it. This makes no goddamn sense. And if you, as you see at the end of this, we get into, I will also get into why it makes no goddamn sense. If all you wanted to do was to come up with an excuse to put in a new non-canon, nonsensical bullshit assault mech that nobody has ever heard of, this is the most convoluted, roundabout, dumb way that you could have gone about it. Any way you look at it, lore, technology, setting, space, time, nothing in this entire campaign makes any sense within the wider world of Battletech. I am sorry. As much as I like it, as much fun as it is, as much as I like that they tried to, as you will see going forward, include a little bit more of the lore with mercenaries and stuff, none of this makes any sense. This is like this is fanfic level plot in this. And this is coming from somebody who writes fanfic. If I wrote something this bad and then went back to the lore to check it and make sure it worked, I would delete the entire document and start over. This is pointlessly, moronically stupid. I am sorry. As much as I love the effort HBS put into this game, the original game, what you guys did with the flashpoints and overall campaigns within the flashpoints are window-lickingly dumb. I am sorry, but they are. They just, there is absolutely no way this works. This is just stupid. So anyway, what we're trying to do here is, for some reason, they have decided that despite this probably 2.5 kilometer long jump ship being somehow landed on a planet and held down with docking clamps, uh, in order to secure the lockdown drop site where this thing is, we have to assault and take an off-site security post. Because, you know, a building miles away is going to be what controls the docking clamps of a spaceport that it can't even see from where it is. Again, just dumb. But at this point, we've all got to get to this point of the campaign. You've drank the Kool-Aid. Why question it? So I'm barely even going to talk about this, at least the first part of this battle that's going on, because it's just complete standard fare. This is just a normal site assault match that is just shoehorned into this overall campaign. Apologies for the little glitch with the resolution there. It's been doing that not just with my BattleTech videos, but with other stuff I do too. It's just every once in a while something in this program gets a little overwhelmed, I think. But it's just, I'm going to have more to say when it gets to the second part of this, because that's really what the focus of this is. But the first part, you can't do the second part without doing the first part, so I did the whole thing. Also, I apologize for the glitches with the little mini freezes and everything else in this. That's an issue with my computer, not an issue with the rendering program. That is direct out of the source files. After I ran this half of the mission, I logged out, restarted my computer, and logged back in. And if I remember right from the watch through, the issue is not there in the second part. I don't know if I was having a worse memory leak than usual, because I had been playing for a little while when I got to this point. The memory leak might have just gotten to the point where it was overwhelming. But the second part of that doesn't have this issue. Firing. But I'd already started the mission and things seemed to be going alright, and I didn't want to risk backing out and restarting it to get rid of the glitches by the time I got to the point where it was so too annoying, which is later on in this match, not at this point. But it was one of those where it's like, if things are going well, if I back out and do it again, I'm liable to run it again and lose half my pilots before I even get to the objective, so why risk it? Firing on multiple enemies. I always laugh when I fire, 2 full volleys of LRM-20s at something, and I understand that the one of them was already damaged. But 2 full volleys of LRM-20s at something, don't knock it over, don't take out any weapons, but you damage a heat sink, and then 2 medium lasers at something else, and you blow out the center torso and kill it. That's almost as good as in the I Am Jade Falcon trilogy, when you have the whole Battle of Tukiyid, where the Jade Falcons are getting their asses kicked and getting outsmarted every turn, and then all of a sudden when Aiden Pry all by himself is defending a drop ship, his ER small laser of death on his Mad Cat is killing Comstar mechs right and left when, his 2 large lasers, 2 medium lasers, and 2 LRM-20s before that really weren't doing all that great. But, you know, that small laser is just the absolute bee's knees when it comes to weapons technology.
I'm on it.
But then again, I will also say that sometimes that stuff does happen in the tabletop. I'm not going to say that that's, you know, that's just a writer making crap up. I don't know Lauren Coleman, who I believe is the one that wrote that. And I've obviously never spoken to him, so I don't know. But I do know that occasionally when they're writing stuff for those novels, when they get to the battles, they will, at least some authors, will actually tabletop play it. And within the confines of the story they want to tell, will tabletop play to see, you know, the actual action that they want to do. So for all I know, maybe they did have one hell of a run of luck on a tabletop game, and that's where that came from. I've seen weirder things on tabletop. Who knows? I've seen a guy with an assault mech fighting a heavy mech that, like, 4 or 5 rounds, he could not hit this guy. Everything he fired basically missed. I think he actually fell over, failed a piloting check one turn. And then in the final round, he literally just kind of walked up, and as he put it, he just dropped, like, did the fist drop on the guy's cockpit as a last resort of frustration and caved it in and killed the guy. So he closed in from full distance with all these weapons without killing anything, almost to set up a grandstand crush the pilot move if you were watching it, not watching the gameplay, just watching what happened. You know, weird stuff happens in tabletop. That's one of the appeals of tabletop. But it's still, you know, when it happens in a novel, and I always keep that in the back of my mind when I see something dumb in a battle in a novel that's like, maybe it actually happened in a tabletop and that's where it came from. But you still will look at some of the stuff that goes on in the battles and go, wait, huh? What?
Moving out.
I don't know.
Move order received.
So this one, what you're seeing I'm doing here with the setup, I did this the first time I played this mission. This isn't a knowing what's coming thing. Looking at this and having done so many by this point, site assaults and base captures, I just had a feeling that there was going to be more to it than this. And because we'd already cleared the bottom half, south, whatever you want to call it, of the map, it was pretty obvious it was going to be coming in the north, so I moved everybody around and spread them, not really knowing where from the north they were going to come in, and you get what you see here.
You've got hostile contacts.
I've also done it where I try to ignore that and pretend I don't know that's coming, and it really doesn't change anything in the gameplay. It's not like I set this up to where I've got them surrounded or anything. It's just I'm to where I can still capture the site, and most of my guys right off the bat have line of sight on at least somebody here to engage, so. And if you think about it, that, if, as I say, with an experienced mercenary company that has done this before, would look at this setup and say, yeah, this is a trap. We need to spread out and not get everybody clustered together. So, you know, game-wise, it makes sense to spread them out like that. Especially with everybody being a heavy mech. It's not like anybody is, you know, you're sending one lightly armed scout out all by himself against this stuff. You're spreading out 4 pretty heavily armed mechs. They're all close enough to support each other, but far enough out that the enemy has to either split their fire or decide who the hell they're going after.
All weapons are go. Inflicted some heavy damage.
In fact, just out of curiosity, while we've got a little bit of downtime for my talking while this battle is finishing up, I'm going to look it up and see just how large, I will pick one off the random, how large the average jump ship is. The name that comes to mind off the top of my head is the Invader class, so that's what I'm going to look up.
Waiting for orders. On the move. Confirmed.
I don't know if the Invader class is representative of jump ships as a whole.
My internals are taking
However,
a
it does
beating.
seem to be the pretty average uh, ones that are mentioned. So let's go with this. Yeah, the Invader, according to Sarna, the Invader accounts for nearly 50% of registered jump ships in the inner sphere, so it's pretty representative. 152,000 tons, 505 meters long, or over half a kilometer, with a jump sail, which is what collects the solar energy to charge the engines up, diameter of 1,024 meters and 50 tons of fuel. Maximum thrust 1G. So if one of these things did somehow manage to land on the surface of a planet without destroying itself, it is physically
Yes,
incapable
Commander.
of ever leaving that planet's surface again. Because even with the limits
Location
put on
confirmed.
them to keep the crews safe, the space shuttle lifts off at 3 to
All
5
weapons are
Gs,
cold.
not counting the massive amount of Gs an unmanned rocket takes going out of orbit, breaking free of Earth's gravity. So there is absolutely no way that jump ship would ever be able to lift off again if it grounded. And I believe within the lore, or within this match, this campaign, that is what, the
Commander?
fourth time you're aware of that ship has landed on a planet's surface? Yeah.
Aye, aye.
And that's not even counting it, as they repeatedly mentioned, being damaged from a misjump. It wouldn't even
One
be able
less
to
target.
burn into system to land, and if it made it to a planet, it would burn up on reentry. So, yeah, I'm
Standing
sorry,
by.
HBS. This makes absolutely no. Pardon my French. I usually try not to swear in these, but I'm so frustrated with this. I'm sorry, HBS, but this makes no fucking sense. This is idiotic. Whoever you had write this, if they did any lore checking, fire them.
Critical hit, Commander.
This is moronically pointless.
Oh, I hate these guys.
Yeah, you and me both, Medusa. Oh, you mean the Battlemechs you're up against. I'm sorry, I was thinking the company.
All weapons committed.
This is another example, and I see it so often in the
Enemy mech
BattleTech
critical
slash Mech
damage
Warrior slash
detected.
Mech Commander games, where the
Scanning
base
for orders.
game is just fine, if even if it is lacking in some
Move to
content could have
position.
been bigger, but it's all right.
Firing.
It's not anything that really flies in the face of anything that's established. It doesn't go off on its own and try to create something new. Doesn't make you scratch your head and go, "What the hell were they smoking?" But then there's the expansion packs and the add-ons, which always go down a deeper and
Receiving
deeper rabbit hole of stupidity with the shit they add to try to pad out the game. I mean, with the time this is set, which thankfully,
mech.
one of the missions that I had saved that I was going to do
Yes,
and would have
Commander.
had an even angrier rant than this as far as lore goes. With the time period they're doing, they could have found a
Roger.
way to work you into the peripheral of the Fourth Succession War. It is right about the same time. And instead, they've got you
Target
dicking
eliminated,
around out
Commander.
here with this shit getting into. I will go ahead and say it, not really getting into anything ahead of time now because you're already getting to that point of the campaign. Now they're getting you into the clans, which don't exist yet. And yet, if you know the lore and know where BattleTech goes after this, is very obviously what they're setting up with this whole Dobrev thing. You've got Natasha Kerensky, who is part of the Wolf Dragoons, who are a scout organization for Clan Wolf, who is, after this mission,
Mission
that's
successful.
who they're talking about right here, is going to show up and challenge you and tell you how you have no right to do this Dobrev and it should not exist and she's going to destroy it and yada yada yada, which tells you, if you know, again, know the lore, if you're somebody like me coming into this knowing Battletech, not somebody finding Battletech because of this game, that tells you the Wolf's Dragoons know what this thing is. They know where it came from. They know what it is related to. and they want it destroyed. So, A, why are they only sending one company under Natasha Kerensky out after you to take care of it when they have 5 full fucking regiments they could devote to this? And B, if they're aware of this thing and know what it is, they literally within their own mercenary organization have better technology and access to technicians and scientists than any state of the inner sphere, because they are coming from the clans who have not regressed 300 or 400 years in technology the way the inner sphere has, and have actually gone forward in science and technology. So if they know this thing was out there, to the point where she's able to jump on it this quickly, way the hell out on the periphery where you are, why did they not just find it themselves? There's no way she would have heard about this if they did not know what it was, that she would have heard about this thing and, oh, that must be this ship that we believe, again, I'm going to get a little bit ahead, that we believe Clan Widowmaker, I'm sorry, not Clan Widowmaker, Clan Wolverine uh, took when they jumped away after they were all supposedly destroyed by the rest of the clans for going against the clan ways. And this all needs to be found and destroyed before it falls into the hands of the inner sphere. And what? It gives them some random pieces of battle mechs they've never heard of before, because that's really all it does. Uh, no. I mean, only if her concern is to keep the navigation computers of this thing from falling into the hands of the inner sphere, so they can theoretically find their way back to clan homeworlds, clan space. That I can kind of understand being a goal of fighting this. I can kind of understand that. But uh, the rest of it is just why, why, why? Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. It's just trying to shoehorn in as much lore going forward, possibly setting up for future expansions and all this other stuff, as HBS felt they could get away with. Or if it's not HBS, whatever company, satellite, subsidiary handled the Flashpoint expansions. It might not have been HBS. They might have handed it off to somebody else. That I don't really know. But yeah, it's just whoever wrote these and set them up, or if they were written but charitably, somebody was just told to write this, might not have been huge into BattleTech. Whoever was supposed to, if they had somebody to check to make sure it did not shit all over the lore and setting, did not do their job. I'm sorry, there is no part of this Dobrev setting that should have ever happened within the lore. And look at this. As I said, this jump ship, I'm sorry, is 500 meters long. Look at the size of this facility where it was supposedly docked, and you're now trying to defend while your technicians go over whatever was left behind after it lifted off to keep the Black Widow from destroying it all, or at least the mech warriors under her command from destroying it all. This is basically a warehouse that's not even a city block in size by the looks of it, with a little bit of infrastructure support facilities inside it, which also annoys me because this is the map that HBS uses for almost everything with any kind of a base defense. So you have the exact same opposition setup, just different mechs every single time you run this map. With all the work you theoretically put into this campaign, you couldn't have come up with a different map from the one you use in about 5 other flashpoints with the exact same setup, just changing who your opposition supposedly is. And these mechs you're up against that are supposed to be Black Widow Company don't even have the Black Widow Company paint job. Brilliant. The Black Widow Company is all black with red trim. I'm seeing an awful lot of white and silver on these Black Widow mechs.
Yes, Commander.
And I'm sorry, I hate to sound like a whiny grognard bitching about every little thing, but the further and further you get into this campaign, it's just, it's almost like an exponential math problem. It just keeps getting more and more compounded stupidity on it. It starts out bad enough and it never rights itself. It just keeps drinking more Kool-Aid and getting dumber. By the time you get to the end, what you'll see in the final battle that we do is about the only part of this,
Commander,
from what they've set up, that makes any goddamn
Roger that.
sense. And that's only because
Here it
of the
comes.
way I handle it is what any sensible mech warrior, one lanced sized mercenary
Solid
unit
connection on that
would
one.
do when it gets to that. If you have played it, you probably know what I'm getting at. If you haven't, I won't spoil it. But yeah, what I do in that, it might seem like a cop out, but in universe reality, it's what anybody with sense would do. Because now not only have you pissed off or I won't say pissed off, but you've gone against the bounty hunter in the previous one. And now, on top of that, by doing this, you manage to piss off
Enemy mech
Natasha
destroyed.
Kerensky, the Black Widow, who I am not at all a fan of. I never liked her in the lore. I don't know what it is. I always found her annoying, overwritten, and never understood the fanboy love she has always had. But whatever, people like different things. Uh, but now, by the end of this, you will not only be in the crosshairs of the bounty hunter, you're in the crosshairs of the Black Widow. And the bounty hunter and the Black Widow, as she mentions in the up or further back, I believe it was obscured by a little glitch in the graphics. They absolutely despise each other. She has publicly sworn that she is going to kill him. So you can kind of see where this is going. Another one, the first time I played this, knowing the lore and the two characters, as soon as it introduced her, I knew exactly where this campaign was going to end up. And not like I am a brilliant,
Waiting for orders.
fan of the lore or expert in it to
Copy that.
sit there and, go through and, like the meme with the numbers floating in front of my face, putting everything together. No, it is very obvious.
We can salvage that.
But again, within the context of the universe, if the two of them were both going for the same objective like this, what happens at the end of this campaign? Yes, would probably happen. And as I say, what I do to deal with it is what any sensible commander would do. It's just everything that gets to that point is just no. Oh, look, another hatchet man that somebody shouldn't have. Yay! Random mech tables. I don't think there's a single one of these at this point that I'm not running into a hatchet man.
All weapons committed.
And there he goes, he's down.
Enemy mech destroyed.
And now it's just a question of which of the randomly generated spawn points did they come in at? Is it on the left side or the right side rear of the facility? Because that is always where they come in. 90% of the time it's the left side, but every once in a while it's the right, just to throw a monkey wrench in the works.
All right, full speed.
Also, you are never able to, as the objective says, protect all spaceport support structures or whatever this facility is supposed to be masquerading as in this particular map, because they just reuse it for numerous things. Because as you see at the bottom of the screen there, that building sticking up,
Enemy sensor lock
where they
detected.
spawn in, they can automatically hit that, as you're about to see, and always take it out. Unless you split your force and risk getting your Battlemechs annihilated because the RNG decides 2 to 1 you're fucked, there is no way you can protect all spaceport structures. So why the cinnamon toast fuck do they ever put it in as an objective? Because as you can see, you don't even have them in sight. They're barely even on sensors, and they're close enough to take that thing out and have a line of sight on it. So why bother? They know you can't do it. The only way you can do it is if, like, you have one assault mech that you run over here to take them on while the other 3 are taking out the other thing, which is Knowing what is coming and gaming the game, you should not do that. You should do it as intended. I'm sorry. They got very, very lazy. They did. I'm sorry, but these flashpoints, they just get increasingly lazy. The thing that and I won't really get into it, but one of the missions that was deleted that I had done, the whole thing with that is you're
Enemy
working
mech
for
destroyed.
Justin Allard, who is, they're representing the MIIO, the Fed Sun's intelligence organization,
Receiving you.
and he has a problem with this mercenary who claims he owes money to, and this guy's just a pain in his ass, and he contracts you to deal with him, which is fine. That is the kind of thing great houses do. This person is beneath my notice.
Orders?
I cannot personally take care of this. I'm going to hire a
On the move.
nothing merc unit to handle them. That is fine. The problem is they have Justin Allard set up as he's like the head of the intelligence organization, and he can't be bothered to handle this. When the storyline of this is that this is set before the Fourth Succession War, as it says every time it comes up. This is still when House Steiner and House Davion have a tentative understanding and nascent alliance. They are not united. So it is before the marriage of Hans Davion and Melissa Steiner. The entire lead up to that and the entire Fourth Succession Wars, Justin Allard is a deep cover agent working within the Capellan Confederation, and his father is the one running the MIIO. They did no fucking research with this. They just saw a name and this guy was a spy, so he must be the one heading it. Let's have him do this.
Target.
The entire thing would have made perfect sense in universe, would have been a perfectly reasonable, logical campaign to run, except for the fact that they put no effort into doing the backstory for it and picked the wrong Allard. Justin was first a Solaris mech warrior and then a deep cover agent within the Liao household, ends up marrying and having children with one of the Liaos, who leaves with him from the Capellan Confederation at the end of the Fourth Succession War after his objective was completed, was not in, let alone heading, the Fed Sun's military intelligence organization. How hard would it have been to just change the name and artwork if anybody had thought to check and caught that? Like, literally, you have to only read the first couple of chapters of the first book of the Warrior trilogy of the novels to know that that makes absolutely no goddamn sense. There is no way this time, this place, this guy would be
Putting my weight into
who and where he is to be running this mission. But literally, his father, Quintus, is exactly the person who would have been doing this. And they did not bother to just change the name and the artwork to make his father the one doing it. That is the kind of issue crap that I have with this game sometimes. They spend all this effort trying to not stomp on the lore and do their own thing, but then when they do try to work the lore in, they pay no attention to the actual lore and just make up what they want.
Enemy mech destroyed.
Aye, aye. Coordinates received.
Sorry, just on general principle, I'm drinking Mountain Dew, not the Kool-Aid.
Acknowledged.
Okay, so this is about over. Yep, that's the end of this. Okay, now we can get into which it's not a lore argument because this kind of stuff does happen, but my issue is with the actual equipment that comes up, which we'll get into. I'll wait till they actually,
Mission
get to what
successful.
they're going to talk about with that. Thought I cut more of this black space out. I didn't do it as well as I thought I did. when the videos run this long, it can get kind of hard to see just how much black space there is because the videos are so long. When you move the slider, it can move a tiny fraction, but it feels like a minute's worth. So you think you cut it all out or only left a few seconds, and you actually left in like 30, 40 seconds of black and didn't realize it. There we go. Oh, also off screen while running these, I now have an alliance with the Magistracy of Canopus, which is why you see everybody has really, really good quality lasers on their Battlemechs now, because I have access to their stockpiles of weapons for their military. That's how the alliances work in this. And apparently, at least in this version of the BattleTech universe, the Magistracy of Canopus makes some really goddamn good lasers. Each one of the factions seems to have their own specialty in weapons or technology. Like in this, the Draconis Combine loves PPCs, which is accurate to the lore. The FedCom loves autocannons, which again is accurate to the lore. But yeah, that's your bonus basically, and your incentive for making an alliance is you get access to some really high quality weapons or equipment from whoever you're allied with, and it changes depending on who you're allied with. But because all of my mechs are very laser heavy, that worked out. So I now have 3-star large and medium lasers on everything. My finances and bank account took a bit of a hit, but it's worth it. The more accurate, more damaging weapons are definitely worth it. I think one of them, the ones you have access to, is even considered to be lighter. Alright, so somehow, I don't understand how it happened. I lost the little bit of uh, at the end when they're talking about what they get out of it. It's, as they say, an unknown mech, although somehow it's in the computers, known as the Bull Shark, which you see here. But as they say, it has, for some reason, the logo of a Terran Wolverine painted on it, which, with everything that has come before, they cannot make it any more obvious that they're talking about Clan Wolverine, which 99% of people playing this game, at least for the new people coming into it, are going to have absolutely no idea what that is, so why even bother? But this is a non-canon mech. Look at this thing. It did not exist before HBS, and in the main canon BattleTech universe, it still does not exist. But it has a pair of LBX-10s, which is giant, basically 120 millimeter shotgun for all intents and purposes. A pair of Ultra AC5s, which by looking at it, I'd say is probably about a 75 to 90 millimeter rapid fire autocannon. 4 ER medium lasers, which are brutal, and a thumper artillery piece built into the torso, which for some reason is not showing up in this, although it's there when you spawn into the match. You can see it on the back of your mech. But basically a 150 millimeter snub nose artillery piece. What? Why? Mm, mm. Just. Mm. Alright. Anyway, that's the end of this one. The most likely the next one I do, unless I come into a good flashpoint to do before then, because several of the ones that I did want to do, I accidentally lost the video file on. Apologies for that. The next one will probably be the end of the Dobrev. When we get into a really, really good fight. So that one's going to be interesting. I have done that and done everything the way that I'm going to do it in this, and I'm not saying this one won't go bad because I haven't run it yet. But I've done that and only had one mech warrior walk away from it, even playing smart. So it can get nasty. So anyway, that's the end of this one. Sorry for all the bitching, ranting, raving, but I have strong feels on this topic, especially when things make no sense and seem deliberately aimed at pissing me off. So anyway, there you go. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Only a few more of these to go, and then I'm probably going to find another BattleTech Universe game to do a playthrough or walkthrough of, even if it's only a few videos, because some of them aren't that long. So thanks for watching. Have a good one, and we will catch you on the next one of these. Later.